Hold on, let me put that one back into place.
Well, it's now I'm going to have to edit it so that it looks like that didn't happen. There we go.
You're going to have to edit it anyway.
In this part, I'm going to address a nagging clearance issue that's been preventing me from getting the engine in the position I wanted, that being the wastegate actuator. The problem with the KO3S is that the actuator sticks out at a funny angle, so I'm going to remove it for now and deal with it later. Using my air compressor turned right down to a low enough pressure, I blew some air into its feed pipe, then marked the position of the wastegate lever in the open and closed position. If these don't change after relocation, I can be pretty certain I've not ruined it. The replacement gearbox can go on, but not before removing the bulky mounting bracket that's going to be too tall to fit between the chassis rails. Removing the actuator was easier said than done. We needed to remove most of the rear components, including the charge pipe, manifold and turbo oil feed.
Oh, I felt that.
Did you feel it?
The second has pain.
With that removed, we can now get the engine in the car again. If you want to see how I made this lifting platform, I have a video on it. So here's a progress update on the fitment. So we've got the engine in roughly position that we want it to be. If we look at this line over here, this is the exact center of the car. So as you can see, it's pretty much spot on. So I've removed the big heavy aluminium engine mount, which is, it's not heavy, but it's very big in terms of size. And that's given me a bit more clearance. So I've actually got quite a lot of room for a custom mount, which I'm going to have to make out of steel, just for the sake of making it smaller. So in terms of backwards to forwards movement, I think we also clear there as well, because if we look down here, just where that glove is over the end of the CV cup there, that's just where I pulled the drive shaft out of the cup, out of the CV. So there's still grease in there, that's why that glove's over it. But you can see there is some clearance. It's a bit tight, but it's no worse than it was before. If we look underneath here, not sure how well you can see that, but we've got a pretty good line of sight. So, you know, it's not too far. When I was pulling the gearbox from the TT, I noticed that the that the gearbox, the whole drivetrain actually sits a little bit further forward from the axle line anyway. So all that worry I had about it sitting too far forward was kind of just me being a bit paranoid. It's like that on the platform that the engine was from anyway, so not a big deal. Obviously, you wouldn't want it too far forward. Not that I could have it too far forward anyway, because I've got quite a lot of space constraints at the front here. Manifold on this is massive, as in it's got quite a long run to it, and yeah, without it, I'd have plenty of room. But it's just such a massive thing. So left to right, we're good. Backwards to forwards, we're good, sort of. I've had to remove the wastegate actuator just so that I could get the clearance I need. So that's not there anymore. So now the engine is about as far back as we can get. What's hitting it now though, see that? That is the silencer from the turbo outlet. So I'm gonna have to remove it just for clearance, but also, why would I want a quiet turbo? I don't know. Kind of defeats the purpose, really. Right, intake manifold. This was another thing I was a little bit worried about. So in the previous positioning, this was really close to the to this slam panel here. It's still really close to the slam panel. Not happy with this at all. If I left this as it was, then I'm definitely going to have problems with mounting anything to this. You know, charge piping. It's just not going to fit. And if it does, it's just going to, even if I cut away all of this stuff here, you know, even if I cut all that away, you still got all the back of the headlight here. It's just, it's too busy around here to really get away with doing it. So there's a couple of options here. I can either, well, one of the things I was thinking of doing was getting an adapter, right? You can get these adapters that mount onto the intake flange here, and basically just relocate this whole throttle body assembly sort of there. And that would very closely dodge all of it. I'll remove this. This is just the bonnet stay hinge, right? So I don't need that because I'm just going to use pneumatic lifters, hydraulic lifters, whatever the boot struts. So I'm just going to use those. And also I could cut away some of this if I needed to, but it would work better than that. Or we can try plan B, which is to fit this manifold from I'm not sure exactly what this one is from, but you'll find this one on the BAM engine code. Audi TT, Quattro, 225 horsepower, Seat Leon, Cupra. What's the other one? There's a couple of others this one is in, but I paid way more for this than I should have done because eBay breakers, but loads of these on Facebook Marketplace, but no one ever wants to post them, so, and then wonder why no one buys them. Strange that. So I had to spend a bit more than I should have done on eBay, but it's pretty much completely we've even got the injectors in here. I probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on this if it wasn't for the fact that it also had the higher flow injectors, right? So that's a possible upgrade. Whether I fit them or not, I don't know. I kind of want to keep everything stock for now just to get it running, just to remove any unknown variables. So we're going to fit this into the engine now and just see if that gives us any extra clearance. Because the problem with fitting this is that it doesn't really solve the problem. It just moves it to the other side of the engine bay, right? So here's the slam panel. Put that in place. Now I can chop this up and do all kinds of stuff with it, but ultimately, no matter what I do, that's going to hit there, right? With the BAM manifold, that problem is still going to exist, except it's now going to exist on this side, because this weird kick out that it does towards the front is still on the other manifold. Except now it's going to be hitting this part, which potentially is a bit more room, but the radiator is going to be here. So I might end up just hitting the radiator instead. So we're going to pull the manifold off, we're going to put the BAM one on, and we're going to see what clearance is like. And then we'll go from there. I've already removed most of the bolts from in here. Pull the manifold out, put the new one in, and see how we're looking. So it seems that every time I'm about to pull this thing off, I keep finding more crap. Look at this. 2 more lines that go to somewhere. There's a big pipe down there that it seems to go to. And they're all crimped on as well, so it's not even as if I can just quickly take them off. I mean, I have been removing a few of these, but I was hoping I could just quickly stick this manifold on just to see if it fits, and I'm having some real trouble, so I'll do some more following pipes and see where stuff goes. I actually really enjoy removing rubber hoses and clamps, so it's probably a good job I picked this engine, isn't it? Look at the state of this. Look, just look at it. Anyone remember that screensaver from Windows 98, you know, with the one with the pipes? That's what that looks like. Because this engine is going in a completely different car, and there's all kinds of things like wiring and just loads of variables that just make this different from just putting this engine in another car that's supposed to have this engine. I'm just trying to remove as many potential reasons for it not working as possible. That just means trying to install it all as a single package and then removing stuff once I know the engine is working as it's supposed to be. But just based on the fact that I have to remove so much stuff just to change a manifold over, I might just start removing these things early. So once all that's done, it's actually quite a clean looking engine. It's just that the Germans clearly have a sense of humour, because this is friggin' hilarious. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the manifolds. Both manifolds, both side by side, and aside from the fact that one just looks the mirror image of the other, there are some slight differences. On this one, I've already removed the fuel rail as well, and I've marked it so I know which one is which. They're not exactly the same. The piping on this, if you can see back here, is slightly different. I'll show you in a sec, so I'll move this out of the way. If we have a look at this, there's a few minor changes, mostly just these solid lines on the back, on the left-hand side here. Well, I don't know what I expected there. Fuel rails hold a lot of fuel, like more than you think. Right. So if we check underneath this, we've got, it looks like they've already removed a load of stuff. I wonder if this was pulled from a car that had already done the delete. But there's hardly anything under this. So either the breakers removed it, or I don't know. Let's get this on the car, see what it looks like, see if we can clear everything. Right, okay, the manifold's on. So I had this weird thing with the injectors. I tried moving the AUM injector rail, fuel rail, and putting it in there. I couldn't remove it after. There was a lot of force, and when I finally did manage to yank the thing out, it managed to drop the O-rings and the plastic rings that go on the end of the injector into the intake. So I had to fish them out. Luckily, they didn't go inside the combustion chamber because I probably would have just gone home at that point. This is the problem I had with the injectors. I couldn't pull these out of the fuel rail. I removed this guy, which keeps it in place, keeps it inside of the fuel rail. But no matter what I did, I was really pulling on them and I couldn't get them out. So I don't know if they're just mechanically locked in some other way, but it was obvious they rotate inside perfectly fine. I just couldn't get them to leave. So instead of potentially breaking them, I've just sort of left it for now. This is the AUM fuel rail. Again, couldn't remove the injector from this one either. Strange. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong, I don't know. But when I put this fuel rail with the injectors into the other manifold, they went in fine, but when I tried to remove it again, it just wouldn't release like it did when coming out of this manifold. And they were so badly stuck that it lost. I've managed to fish them all out now, but they lost the O-rings, the seals. And these came out as well. These click over the end, but I can't get those back on at the moment, so I have to keep those safe. So yeah, there are a couple of things that are different on this one that are, I don't know, I guess I was expecting. For example, this is the you know, where all that vacuum stuff likes to sit, a couple of sensors. So this would normally bolt, there's a bolt there, there's a hole there, and there's a hole just over there, and they would attach there and there. But it doesn't fit that way. You can see the little gap here where the dipstick would normally go. You can see that it's obviously different. The other thing as well I noticed is that there is a brace. See that brace there? There's normally like another pickup for that to attach to. That's actually over there now. So I'm guessing that it would just end up needing to be moved over. So that's something else to consider. Yeah, this whole thing probably will end up just disappearing anyway. So I will have a look and see what I can safely remove. But it just means that when I start the car for the first time, I'm probably going to have to get the N112 and the N249. I think it's those two. They need to be mapped out of the ECU just to stop the engine complaining, the ECU complaining. So I'm going to put the slam panel back on, or try anyway, and see what hits. I'm not sure if this is better or worse, ignoring the fact that the radiator needs to go in here as well, so I don't think this is going to fit. Now there is still the possibility of installing an adapter that pushes it further this way. Of course, the advantage of having the intake on this side, the throttle on this side, is that because we've got our charge pipe that comes out of there, and if you just look down here, you can sort of see the pipe come out, and it will want to run along underneath the chassis rail, down there, and then into this intercooler, which is almost the perfect width. Might be a little bit too long, I don't know, but you know, we can cut some stuff out here and we can cut some stuff out there. Don't look at that. So we can have the charge can come out of there, down underneath there, through here, through the intercooler, and then up straight into here. That's a decent path. My original plan, assuming I was keeping the other manifold, which I may still need to do, is to change this charge pipe so that instead of coming out on this side, it comes out on this side, goes along here, down into the intercooler, across, and then up straight into here. So that was my other plan. Of course, I could mitigate that whole issue with the intercooler if I just had one of those intercoolers that had the inlet and the outlet on the same side. So that would mean that you could have the charge pipe and the throttle on the same side, and it just goes in and then back out again. It's a little bit harder to put in when the engine's now in the way. I've pretty much given up on this idea of using this radiator anyway for a couple of reasons. The first being that the Primera is not a very well supported platform. So aftermarket radiators just don't exist. Even in the US, where they had the P11 Infinity G20, and they do a lot of things with them over there, but there still doesn't seem to be much aftermarket support. Certainly not here in Europe, not even in Japan. So even though I have it and it fits perfectly, it was a pipe dream. Oh well. Gonna have to look at alternatives for the radiator. I might be able to find like a shorter radiator that only comes up to like here. That might help me out. Half-width radiators like you see in Civics and some other smaller cars might be a thing, but it is going to sit right where that's pointing.